Okay, today I want to talk about text features, and I'll give you the definition for that phrase here in a second. But ultimately, what we're talking about here is how to read a textbook effectively. Because before we hit junior high and high school classes, where we're really reading a lot from our textbooks, you're mostly used to fiction, novels. That's what you read in your reading class. And a novel is different from a textbook. Novels have narrative structure. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Hopefully you're reading them for enjoyment. And while you can learn things from a novel, you may be exposed to a new culture, new ideas, but you aren't really learning facts and information. You're learning based on the story. You may be talking about themes, about the human condition. Whereas a textbook does not follow a narrative structure. And when you read it, you're reading for information. There's information there, there's facts there, and there's more to how the textbook is laid out. A novel pretty much is just your main text, and the only thing that really has any distinction is the heading of chapters, if there's chapter titles. But a textbook has a lot more going on, and that's what we're going to talk about. Because when I say the phrase text features, all I mean is the components of a story or an article, or in this case a textbook, that are not the main body of text. That would include your table of contents, your index, your glossary, your headings, bold words, sidebars, pictures and captions, labeled diagrams. All these different things that you're going to see in your textbook are there to help you understand and learn new information. But it may be different than what you're used to. Okay, so I just want to briefly run through all of these things. Most of them you've probably heard of before and you've noticed in your textbooks. And then I'm going to show you how these different features are laid out in your specific textbook. Table of contents is helpful. It's at the front of the book, and it can help you find your place in the book. The title of the chapters and the units and the page numbers for where to find them are there. So that can help you find where you are in class in your textbook. The index is in the back of the book. It's an alphabetical list of words, and usually it's an alphabetical list of almost every word in the book. And what you use the index for is to find any particular word that you're looking for, and also to see every time it's mentioned. So in a science book, maybe you're looking for photosynthesis. You go back to the index, find photosynthesis, and it may be mentioned in several different chapters, and you're going to be able to see that in the index. The glossary is also in the back. It is kind of like a selected dictionary. It's not going to have every word in the world. It's not even going to have every word in the book. But the most important terms, your key concepts, will probably be defined in the glossary. Bold words are obviously important. They are usually vocabulary words, but occasionally you will see words in bold that are not necessarily defined in the glossary, but they are important. For example, history books a lot of times will have the names of people or important dates in bold. Sidebars is kind of really a general term. It's a separate section of the text set apart from the main section. Many times I've seen sidebar be literally a bar on the side of the page, but it doesn't have to be on the side. It could be the whole bottom half of the page. It could be a square in the top right hand corner. It can really be anywhere on the page. It's just separated somehow. It might be in a box that's a different color. It might just have a border around it. But really what these sidebars contain is slightly different information. It's relevant and related to what is being told in the main section of text. But it might be extra information. I hate to say off topic, but sometimes it is just further explanation or something that's kind of interesting and related. So a lot of times you actually may need to skip the sidebar, finish the section of text that you're reading, and then come back to the sidebar, so you don't get distracted and the section of text that you're reading, you can finish the whole thing before you go to the sidebar. Pictures and captions, that's pretty straightforward. Be sure that you read the captions to the pictures. And then there's so many different kinds of diagrams you may see. Maps and timelines are considered diagrams. History textbooks might also have charts, bar graphs, information about, populations or cultures or a census. A lot of different types of charts and diagrams and graphs that you might see. Science, you're going to have scientific concepts illustrated. You might also have charts. I know in the physical science textbook there's, illustrations about how the atoms are structured, how molecules are structured. So there's a lot of different kinds of illustrations that you may see in a textbook. Okay, so now let's actually look at some different textbooks and see how text features will look different in different textbooks. Okay, now that you know what the features are and you know what they look like in your textbook, we need to talk about how to use those for determining importance. Okay, so you've read the chapter, and you always need to read everything, but there is specific information that you can use when maybe you're going back to study, when you need to find, as you see on the page, quote, the good stuff. So we have this acronym THIEVES to help you remember where to find the most important ideas. Title, headings, introduction, every first sentence, visuals, ending, so what. And most of these are self-explanatory. The title of the chapter, the headings within the chapter, the introduction of the chapter, but maybe also the introduction of specific sections, the first sentence of, again, the chapter, of the sections, and even maybe most paragraphs. You can check out that first sentence and see if there's anything there that's really important that you need to remember. Visuals are very helpful for visual learners, but it may be important for everybody. There may be a visual that you really need to help you understand the concepts. Some textbooks will have a summary at the end of the chapter that summarizes the whole thing. And then you have to think about for yourself, so what? How does this chapter or this section, how is it relevant to the chapter, to the unit, to the class as a whole? And then lastly, let's talk about how you're going to be reading these textbooks. When you're reading for assigned reading, don't skip anything, okay? When you're reading a novel, you're used to all you have to read is the main text. But here in a textbook, read those sidebars. Look at the charts. See what's being represented there. Look at the photographs and read the captions. Everything's there for a reason, so you need to read all of it to enhance your understanding. When you read textbooks aloud, specifically something that I've noticed is that a lot of times people don't read the section headings. They will go from one paragraph to the next, skipping the section heading and just reading the paragraphs. I know the section headings are not complete sentences, so it feels strange to say, but that's going to cue you into what the next section is going to be about. And again, going back to reading everything, when you're reading it as an assignment, read the section headings. That's the main thing here, is that the section headings are important, and I worry that if you're not reading the section headings out loud, maybe you're always skipping over them. And those section headings are important information. They are going to cue you into what's important. And then finally, when you're using your textbook to study, and of course, you will also have notes, but if you're using your textbook as well, it is okay at that point to skim. Some people I know will go back and reread the entire chapter again. And if that works for you, then that's fine, but it can be time consuming. So use this THIEVES acronym. Skim your textbook and review just the most important information that may be on the test when you're studying. So hopefully this presentation has helped you understand a little bit better what I mean when I say text features, what all is considered a text feature, and how you can use those features as tools to help you read, learn, understand the content of your class a little bit better. Are you freaking kidding me?